Let's talk about your ex. Not the good ones who have a special place in your heart, but the bad ones who have a special place in the hell of their own making. Whether you have forgiven and let go or not, let's indulge your curiosity and maybe your pettiness just a little and take a look into their relationship with the new person after the honeymoon period has faded. For some of you, my hope is that you are able to let go of wondering if you were somehow the problem or thinking your ex magically became better for someone else. Let's take a look at your options. For group 1, we have this amethyst cluster and this card that says the journey. For group 2, we have this aura kyanite and this card that says Fibonacci. For group 3, we have these bones and this card that says natural abundance. Okay, take all the time you need to choose. You can choose multiple groups today if you do have multiple exes in mind. Keep in mind, though, we are not looking at exes that you have had overall positive experiences with, only the bad ones, okay? I'm going to get started. Meet me in your reading when you're ready. Hi, group 1. You chose this amethyst cluster and the journey card. Welcome to your reading. We're looking at your ex and the relationship they have with their new person after the honeymoon phase fades. I'm going to pull all your cards now off camera to save you having to watch me do that today. So the next thing you will see is your spread all laid out. Okay, group 1, let's get into it. We're going to start with this card that you chose, the journey, and this is going to represent the energy or the vibe between your ex and the new person. So when you look at this card, we've got this deer or elk or whatever it is here, and then this person in the foreground. And so the first thing that I'm hearing is having to tame a wild animal. And so it feels like your ex is the wild animal and their new person feels like they have to, so they may feel like they can understand your ex, or they feel that they have to spend time trying to understand or give to your ex, and then they'll have an equal relationship. So that also says to me that they don't have an equal relationship right now, and that basically your ex's new person is the one sort of in charge of trying to make that happen. And so it's also like your ex's person is operating as a sort of calming force, which means like they're having to sort of tend to your ex's needs a lot. So it's like there's an understanding between them. They've developed an understanding between them, but it's not an equality. And it's like the new person isn't being fully seen. And actually what's weird is the way that this person has their back to us and their front to this person, it feels like they're sort of having to hide from the world in a way in order to appease this person. And, we could say that because this person isn't wearing a top, so maybe they're just being vulnerable toward your ex and not to the world, but it's this weird agreement feeling like there's some kind of either spoken or unspoken agreement here in this relationship, and it's not equal, but there is an understanding. And it feels like your ex's new person has to tend to their needs a lot and sort of be quiet or meek and be very attuned to them and their moods and their needs and their energies and very, very focused on them and only giving to them. So it's this really strong energy of not even necessarily being controlled, although that could be what's happening, but feeling like the only way to keep this animal calm, your ex calm, is to be very attuned to your ex's needs and wants and all of that stuff. And again, it feels like your ex's new person has to sort of be quiet. Like the world doesn't get to know who they are or something, or all of their attention and focus is having to be attuned to your ex in order to keep things sort of peaceful. And it doesn't necessarily feel like your ex will like fly off the handle or anything. I mean, that might be the case, but it's just that they require a lot. Your ex may be very needy in certain ways, but also this new person is basically having to give up on their own needs in some ways and basically perform magic every single day in order to appease your ex. So right off the bat, the energy isn't that great. It's a little bit sad. But let's see what else there is here. So we are going to look at this card here for how it looks to how their relationship looks to the outside world and what your ex is presenting their relationship to be. And we have the Two of Cups. So your ex is presenting their new relationship to be the Two of Cups, which is a card that is often romantic, often like an equal, happy, joyful partnership where they get each other and they like to do the same things and like everything is hunky-dory. And so what they're doing is presenting their relationship as really wonderful, really equal, like very romantic, very close and very understanding. But that's just how they're presenting it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth. And so, of course, you could see pictures on social media or you could see them out and about or hear stories about them. And it's like, they're such a good couple. Oh my gosh, look, they're so cute. Wow, they're wearing a matching outfit. Like that kind of thing could be happening. But, in this Two of Cups, it's interesting because we have someone looking in a mirror. It isn't necessarily two different people. It's one person looking at a version of themselves and not seeing themselves clearly. So that speaks to me a little bit about how your ex is presenting a false self and also not seeing themselves clearly or even their relationship clearly. And it definitely feels like they're trying to present themselves and their relationship in a specific way. So I wouldn't be surprised if your ex, in this particular case, has a strong social media presence or has always been the type of person to like present a certain way and sort of be performative in the way they present themselves in their relationships. And it also makes me think that your ex is not seeing their partner or maybe any of their partners that they've had very clearly. But also another thing that's coming to mind is they could be influencing their partner to look or dress or present themselves in a certain way too that's not as authentic to them just because of how it looks to the world. When we look at this card here, what happens as the honeymoon energy fades or did fade in the relationship, we have this Eight of Pentacles. So as this early honeymoon energy where everything is exciting and there's this like initial spark and all of that, as that fades, we get to the Eight of Pentacles, which is very much a working card. And in this particular case, like here we have someone in an office working hard and kind of alone as well. There's not another person here. So when the honeymoon energy fades or when it did fade, the relationship started to feel like work. It started to feel like the drudgery of the day to day. It started to feel like something that they have to do, that they've already committed to, that maybe provides safety and security in some way. And yet it is mundane. It's a task. It's something that they have to get up and do every day. And it starts to maybe feel like Groundhog Day. Like it certainly has lost excitement. And it feels like, this woman here in this card picking up the phone to talk, it's like, like even communicating is like boring and annoying. Like whatever was exciting at first certainly has faded. And there's this sort of daydreamy quality of like wanting to look out this window and see what's out there instead of focusing on what needs to be done. And we have this chair in the foreground that's empty. And so it feels like there's this emptiness where like, maybe they present this way, but even in the beginning, it was like, oh, there's two of us and it's exciting. And now it's like, there's the energy of two is lacking here. And it feels like hard work to sort of drag that up. But also it feels sort of like this woman here in this card is calling somebody else because like, if their partner would be sitting in this chair and they're not even seeing their partner here, they're like bored, like out of mind, out of sight. And now I'm going to get to the work of talking to someone else. So I'm not necessarily saying that your ex is cheating on their new partner, but it does have that feeling of sort of looking elsewhere, maybe flirting with other people, maybe like doing things on the sly, even if it's not like full on cheating. But also as the honeymoon energy faded, it just sort of became like work. Like it's not this deepening of like romantic or close energy. It's like, this is work, but I need it to survive. Like, because again, I feel like your ex is kind of needy. And so they need a partner or someone to sort of rely on and take care of them in some ways. And so they'll put the work in order to feel safe and stable. But I say that as like, it just feels like work to them to even like participate in the relationship. They're not necessarily putting in the work to be a good partner. But let's look at what issues or conflicts or fights are surfacing between them or have surfaced between them. So we have this Elder of Wands and the Initiate of Wands, which could be said to be the Queen and King of Wands, although in this deck, these are both men. So the first thing that comes to mind with these cards is that your person sees themselves as above the other person. Like they see the other person as sort of an equal, but not a full equal. There's a superiority here, a seeing themselves as a little bit above, as knowing a little bit more. They see themselves as this Elder of Wands who has like more experience and more knowledge. And they may think that because they are older than their partner or because they're just always that way with every partner. And it seems like they sort of expect their new person to sort of fall in line and do what they want. It's also like, okay, well, maybe their new person wasn't the Initiate of Wands. Maybe their new person was a Swords person, but they're like, I'm Wands, so you have to act Wands. It's like, copy me and do it the same, but don't do it better because I am better. And there's also this energy of like, kind of like, both people are sort of trying to get the power in a way. So I don't know if there is fighting arising because neither one of them is willing to give up the power. But, the original energy that we had with your ex's person is that they are sort of willing to give up a lot. So I don't know if they are starting to get to a point where they're getting stronger and starting to see more truth in this relationship. And so some conflict is arising because they don't want to continue this energy, because they might be starting to see where your ex is either controlling or has this feeling of being better than them and better than other people, or wanting them to sort of be a specific person and fall in line. And it doesn't necessarily feel like really heavy or negative energy where it's like ultra controlling. Like there is a level of control that I'm seeing here, but it's not like scary control. It's like, I want things my way and you should just do it because I know better, or like, it may not even be a conscious thing. It's just, they can be very influential with people, your ex. And so this person may have found themselves just sort of going along with what your ex wanted. And so there's a lot of creative energy in the wands. So one way that this could manifest that I'm seeing is, for example, your ex and this new person got together and your ex is creative. Maybe they make music for a living and they met their new person and the new person was like, oh, well, I play this instrument and like, I like music. And so this person is like, oh, well, let me teach you all these things. And it becomes like they expect and want their new person to sort of follow in line with what kind of music your ex plays or likes or whatever. It's something like this. Like there's some creative aspect of this where they were like, I know more than you, let me teach you. And this other person was like so interested in the beginning that they sort of just went along with that. And now I think what's happening is they're realizing like, that's not necessarily my vibe. That's not necessarily what I want to be doing. And actually like, I think I'm better at this or I enjoy this more. But there are fights or conflicts arising because your ex doesn't like that. They want to have the power because they feel more comfortable and safe when they do. So let's go further into that and see what the new person is starting to see and realize. And we have this Ace of Swords and the Ten of Swords on the right. And again, it's bringing up with this Ace of Swords a sense of control. And, the Ten of Swords, usually in a classic deck, you will see a person lying on the ground with 10 swords in their back, but that's not this 10 of swords. This 10 of swords, we've got this figure here breaking all these swords and throwing them in the trash. And so again, there's this feeling of taking their power back. So I think the new person is starting to, or will start to see where your ex has sort of taken control and said, this is the way it's going to be. And your ex is like, basically metaphorically putting swords down. Like, this is how it's going to be. Like, I like it this way. It's going to be this way. And the new person is starting to, again, get their power back and say, no, this isn't, I don't want to do it this way. And like, in fact, not only am I going to rebel against that, but like all the ways you forced me to be, I'm going to start examining those and change them. It's really interesting how the new person, really is starting to see through the BS. And I don't know if your ex is a long ago ex or a more recent ex, or when this energy with the new person happens. It could be happening right now. It could be happening in the future, but they no longer want to be under your ex's control or doing every single thing they want. They want to live their own life and be free. So let's see what we have down here. Let's look at what is not as it seemed in the beginning. So we have the Four of Pentacles. So Four of Pentacles, it can be very stable and very safe, and it can feel like financially safe. And, what I'm looking at this particular Four of Pentacles, what's not as it seemed in the beginning? Well, in the beginning, it seemed like, oh, we're a team. We're going to do things together. Maybe we're going to live together. Maybe we're going to do our chores and our errands together, and we are going to like cook together and all these things. And yet now this person is doing it all alone, which makes me think again about how they are caretaking your ex. And so it's like, okay, well, why did I think we were going to do all these things together? And now I'm the one doing them. And I'm the one who's expected to go to the store or do the laundry or bring you a coffee. And it's not happening for me. So there's this feeling of like disappointment, but also, okay, wait, I was mistaken. I thought this was going to be an equal partnership, and I'm starting to realize it's not. So it also feels like it's up to your ex's new person to sort of take care of things and build a safe and stable life. So your ex is relying on the new person for safety and stability and reliability on all this stuff. And the new person is like, okay, well, can't we do that together? Like, I didn't think it was all going to fall on me to provide the foundation and the structure for this relationship. So that brings us to the Six of Swords. What is the new person struggling with in this connection? And so we look in the background and we have this smoky fire burning down this structure. And so one thing that comes to mind is this is very tower-like. And so it's your ex, I think, creates tower moments or gets themselves into tower moments where there's like destruction or chaos or big change. And like, now we have to move to a different city, or now we need to move to a different apartment because I made the landlord mad, or like, now like I broke your car, so we have to get a new one. It's this feeling of like constantly sort of messing things up. And so the new person is struggling not only with this constant change, like maybe, okay, we have to have new friends or something like that, but also like feeling like they're stuck in this boat. They're stuck with your ex in a way that has become kind of stressful and tiring and hard. And I think that the new person really craves structure and stability. So does your ex, but your ex takes advantage of people to get it. Whereas this new person can provide it, but needs equality, and your ex is not capable of providing that. So I suspect that's how it was with you as well. But it's like they also, this new person, I feel like, is the one carrying all these swords. They're always carrying everything. They're always picking up the pieces. They're always carrying this relationship in ways that your ex can't seem to do. Like, your ex has the paddle, but they're the ones like, we need to get in this boat and like move on. And the new person doesn't want to be constantly moving on to the next thing. So I think this is beginning to get very stressful for the new person. So we look at the Fool next. How does the new person feel underneath it all? And we could very simply say that the new person is starting to feel like a fool, They're starting to feel foolish for blindly walking into this relationship. Look, it's dark. We have this fool just moving forward, hands out, trying to like find the light, trying to find their footing. It looks like they're going to trip over this thing that they're wearing or trip over their cat right here. It's like, underneath everything, when it really comes down to it, they not only feel very alone in this relationship and they feel in the dark about a lot of things, but they feel like they can't find their footing. They feel like they don't know where they're going or where this relationship is going. They feel like they're going to mess up. They're going to trip and hurt themselves in some way, and that they feel foolish now for walking into this. Again, they walked into it blind in some way because there were just things that were not available to them when they met your ex, things that they didn't know about, or even if someone said something to them, they didn't take it seriously, maybe because your ex convinced them not to. So they are feeling like they made a mistake. They definitely feel like this is not the relationship they thought they were going to have with your ex or at all. And I don't think it's the relationship that they want. And they're starting to want to find their way out of it. So let's now look at what your ex is feeling in this connection as the initial excitement fades or did fade, and how their feelings have shifted toward the new person. So we have the 6 of Cups and the 9 of Cups, which on the surface seem like good cards. But in this deck, what I notice when I look at these 2 cards is we have these gold vessels back here, and then we have one here in the 6 of Cups too. And yeah, in this deck, it symbolizes the cups suit. But what it feels like to me is trophies. And so what I think that your ex is feeling in this connection, as things have sort of shifted and changed, is that on one hand, this new person is just another trophy on their wall, another trophy to put in the case, another trophy to enjoy while they enjoy it. They don't necessarily see this as long-term or not. They might, but the 9 of Cups can be about emotional fulfillment, and yet that's not what seems to be coming through in this card. It does feel like there's trophy energy. When you look at this 6 of Cups, we have this figure with, you could say that this is her kid, and then her kid has all these dolls. But what I'm noticing in this card is this feeling that all of these dolls, this cat, this kid, all of them are her trophies, and she wants to be given to and provided for and have everybody laid out exactly how she wants. I'm not saying your ex is a her, but it's this need to have control and have things look how your ex wants them to look. And so the new person in your ex's life is just more special in the moment. Like, the new person is this kid. You and the other exes are these dolls. Like, you're still being, you're like in your ex's mind still. You're sort of in their trophy case. And I don't like to say that because I don't want you to think like, oh, you just exist as somebody's trophy. Like, no, the thought of you is in their trophy case. Their perspective of the experience you had is in their trophy case. And I'm sure their perspective is very skewed. And we have that here too. It's this feeling of like, let me add another trophy. And so I don't actually think that your ex has had a big shift in their feelings around the new person, or like as the initial excitement faded, it didn't necessarily get worse for your ex. It certainly got worse for the new person. But for your ex, it's just life as usual. It's the same thing. It's another chapter in their book, another link in their chain, another person to take care of them right now, another person to like be a trophy on their arm or be someone to show off or make them feel more safe and secure because they have a partner or they have someone taking care of them. But there's energy here of like being objectified. If you look at this shopkeeper as like, maybe he just has his eyes closed, but to me, it feels like he's like looking at her butt, And so it just feels like there's objectifying energy, and that, we have this in the foreground here, all this stuff kind of in shadow. And it's like, why is it even in the picture if it's in shadow? And it makes me think that your ex still kind of carries around old stuff, but it's like, who's the new person to be focused on? Who's the new person that's taking care of them? You know, who is their quote unquote partner? Although there's no partnership here with your ex, because your ex seems to be not only emotionally immature, but emotionally withdrawn in a way. Your ex doesn't seem to be connected to an emotional state that is very vibrant. You know, they may show emotions, but your ex seems to be either kind of emotionless, or they only have emotions for themselves and they don't have compassion for other people, and their emotions are very selfish and self-absorbed. And yeah, there's a strong selfishness here with your ex. Lastly, I want to look at these last 3 cards, which I pulled for what your ex thinks of you when you enter their thoughts. So we have 3 major arcana cards here. So even though your ex is somebody who keeps people as trophies, keeps thoughts of people as trophies, you seem to have made a pretty strong impact on them. So I don't know if you made a stronger than normal impact on them, because interestingly, I don't sense this energy here. And that might be because after the fact, they suddenly like see someone's worth and value more so than when they have them in their life, or you really were more meaningful or special to them than other people that they have been with. And, you know, maybe you were married, maybe you were together a long time, maybe you just had a really intense relationship, or maybe you just made an impact because of who you are. So we have the High Priestess, the universe or the world, and the Wheel of Fortune here. So when your ex thinks of you, when you enter their thoughts, not only are you kind of a big, meaningful force for them, but they certainly saw you as endgame at some point, you know, with the World card being the last in the major arcana, the last in a major cycle, and with the Wheel of Fortune, which can be about fate and luck. They, at least at some point, saw you as the person that they were going to stay with, the person that they were going to be quote unquote committed to, even though I don't think they're very good at commitment from what I can see here. And I think with the High Priestess here and the Wheel of Fortune, they saw you as having this really unique or spiritual connection. I don't know that you felt that way, but they certainly seem to have felt that way about you. And, you know, interesting, in this World card, normally we just have one figure, and we have some other things going on in the card, but we have 2 figures here. So again, it's like this person saw you as like a final relationship, the person they really wanted to be with, or like the trophy of all trophies. They saw you as being able to match them in some way, or be perhaps more of an equal. You may have been less easy to control than some of the other people they've been involved with, or the new person that they're involved with. And I think that there feels like there was a spark with you. Like there's a similar energy of feeling sort of a stability and a safety with you, but not only were they maybe needy and wanted you to provide for them in certain ways, but they in some way wanted to provide for you too, which seems unusual based on how they are with their new partner. You know, I think that you were a shining star in some way. And, you know, with this High Priestess card here, it feels like, again, regardless of your gender, this is like you kind of hanging over them. Like they do still think of you. They probably think of you at night more often than not. They think of you when they're with groups of people or when they meet new people. I don't know if they see you as like particularly unique, but I think that they do, because there's this strong pull to you. And I think they're definitely wondering what you're up to. I don't know how long it's been since you've talked to them, but they wonder what you're doing, what you're up to. If you haven't talked to them in a while, they may wonder what you do for work, or who you're involved with, who your friends are, who you're hanging out with. They also see you as very intuitive and very spiritually connected, more so than other people. So you probably are if someone is seeing you that way, but whether or not you see yourself that way, they seem to think that. Like what I'm getting is that you had moments when you knew them where you said or did certain things where they were like, wait, how did you know that, or something? And you don't even realize that you came across as psychic, or you seem to just know things, it's that kind of thing. Yeah, but in this world card too, and over here in the wheel, there's so many facets of the relationship you guys had that this person enjoyed, which is interesting to me based on the energy I've been reading, because it's not that they seem simple-minded. Like, they could be very intelligent, but they seem sort of simple in the sense that, I don't know, they don't seem multifaceted as like a lot of people do. They don't seem very complex. They certainly seem to like hide things. I don't think they're always very honest, but I don't think they're very complex. But what they saw with you was a lot of complexity, a lot of facets, a lot of different things that you were, but also that they experienced with you. And I think that they also saw all these things that you would do together. And so I don't see a lot of pain here when they think about you. Again, if this was a really older relationship, you haven't talked to them in years, that might be why there's no pain here. But another thing is, again, I don't think this person is emotionally very deep. And so I don't know that they experience a very high level of pain generally. But I think that you have not left their mind. That is for certain. You seem to hang over them in some way. I don't think it causes suffering for them, but there is a possibility that some of these people, even if it has been decades, still think that one day you're going to be in their life again, or you'll be their partner again or something. Like, this is the type of person who's like, okay, don't talk to me for 15 years, but when we're retired and we're in nursing homes, like, you're going to be seeking me out again. It's like this, don't worry. Like, I know I'll see you again. Like, you can try to have your own life, but it's like that kind of thing. But you definitely hang over them. And so honestly, I think that's all I have for you today, Group 1. I do hope this was helpful to someone out there. If you enjoyed this reading, let me know by leaving a comment or liking the video. You may like some of my other readings I've done. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you again soon. Bye. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Aura Kyanite and this Fibonacci card. Welcome to your reading. We're looking at your ex and the relationship they have with their new person after the honeymoon phase fades. I'm going to pull all of your cards now off camera to save you having to watch me do that today. So the next thing you will see is your cards all laid out. Okay, Group 2, let's get into it. So we're going to actually start with this card you selected in the beginning, the Fibonacci card. I did want to have it laying out here, but I ended up having to pull too many cards. So it didn't fit, but that's okay because we're starting with it. So the Fibonacci card, is what we are going to use to talk about the energy or the vibe between your ex and this new person. And I do want to say, I have this strong feeling here with this group that your ex has a way of seeming better than they are for a while. And sure, that can happen a lot with like toxic people. But it can take people time to understand what's going on with your ex. And so I do feel like that happened for you. Like, it took you a while to see your ex very clearly. Like, even when there were things that were not good or things that were red flags, you still basically were convinced that your person, your ex, was good at heart, or like had potential to be good more so than some people. Like, it's that feeling. And so I think this is also the case for your ex's new person. Like, things aren't quite right. Things aren't quite making sense, but it won't all be clear to your ex's person until later. So we'll see what the cards say, but I wanted to mention that feeling was coming through. So with the Fibonacci card, what stands out to me is not the Fibonacci sequence, but fib, like lie. And so I think that your ex is a liar. Sorry, but if that's true. But interestingly, because it's fib, it makes me think that yes, your ex may lie about big things, but I think they lie about a lot of small things. And I think they did that with you, and they are doing that with the new person as well. And so it's almost like why did you even lie about that? Or it's like it's just like there's a consistent level of lying or fibbing here. And because it's the, Fibonacci sequence, the word sequence is also coming to mind. And we see this pattern here that like stems from this person's heart. This looks like kind of like a chest here with arms reaching down with hands. But basically, your ex isn't changing. This is very core to how they operate in the world. By fibbing, lying, manipulating, they may not see it that way. They may not see it as a big deal. They may justify every lie they tell, or even they may be convinced they don't lie, And not only is this core to how they operate in the world, they have operated this way for a long time. So you certainly experienced this with them, and they are still doing it, and they did it long before you, and there are no signs of it stopping right now. It is a pattern of behavior for your ex. And these spirals, like the more they spiral, the more your ex spirals, maybe emotionally, the more they depend on lies to form a sort of structure, to sort of keep themselves held up in some way, like they would fall apart without their lies, or if people saw the truth, everything would fall apart from that for them. So this is sort of how they structure their life and their relationships. And because this is coming out of their chest, which is, like the heart chakra, it's how they structure, quote unquote, love. So not only all of their relationships are romantic and not, but like how they see, experience, and feel love. They're not feeling love in a real way. So if you always kind of had this weird feeling of like, why are they doing all these things? Like if someone who loves me wouldn't do these things. You're right. But also they think they're being loving. That's the crazy part. They're not, but they think that's what it is because that's what they learned it was. They don't know what actual love is. Even when they experience it, they can't quite let it in and feel it because they also have all these defenses. And it's also, this looks like a web, like they sort of draw people in and trap them in there in order to feel love and feel loved. It's interesting. It's sad. It's dark. It's depressing. It feels like a dark hole. It feels like depression, and it feels like not being able to see clearly. I don't think they can see themselves clearly at all. And I don't think that they see what they do clearly. It is possible that your ex really sees themselves as someone really good and someone that does good things in the world. And it's like the complete opposite in a lot of ways. And that their good is sort of performative because they're not really tuned into real love and how to operate from that place. And, that's okay. It's really sad. And it's sad for the people that they affect. But also, this isn't a full body here. This is a partial body. And I think that this speaks to them not feeling whole, not feeling like a whole person. And so they can't have a whole relationship either with you, with the new person, with anyone. There's always going to be something lacking until they find the rest of their quote unquote body. But also this card is speaking to me about addiction or addict behavior and the darkness that comes with that. And not only being addicted possibly to substances or other things, but addicted to relationships and addicted to romantic love where they feel connected to someone in that way because it helps them feel a little less dark. So it feels like they want to draw the other person in and merge with them, and not just the current person, but whoever they're involved with. And it's like they want the other person to heal them, to accept them, to love them enough that finally they will feel love. But they don't accept themselves and they don't love themselves. And because they're constantly trying to find this experience in another person, which you could say a lot of people, maybe most people do to a degree, like you feel lonely, I need another person. But this person is like kind of further gone than a lot of people. And that doesn't mean they can't come back, but it's really dark and sticky and murky energy. And I don't enjoy it. I'll be honest. I'm sure you didn't either. So let's get into the tarot. And basically, because this was the energy and vibe between your ex and their new person, this is more about your ex. So I'm going to say right now, I can guarantee they're repeating patterns with the new person that they had with you, and that it's been going on for a long time. And also the issue lies within them. The energy between them and anyone has almost everything to do with this person and their major issue that is around love and accepting love and giving love. And I think that they crave love in a way where it is like a never-ending craving that they can't satisfy. It is like being an addict, or like you never have enough to finally be fulfilled. If you're addicted to heroin, for example, are you going to have your last, I don't know how you take heroin hit, but like you're done after that? No, you're not done after that. It's a struggle typically to, deal with the underlying issues that cause you to continue to seek something out, besides the fact that some things are just physically addictive. There's so much. I just want to keep picking this up and being like, and there's a lot here with this person, but I assume some of that's going to come out here in the tarot. So let's not spend any more time on that. So regarding your ex and their new person, we're going to start over here on the left on the top with the sun. And this is how their relationship looks to the outside world and what they're presenting it as. And you may have heard me laugh a little bit because look, this person with all of these issues is presenting their relationship as this happy, joyful sun. And so I know it's a lie. I already know it's a lie. I don't even need to look at these other cards yet. I can tell that the way that your ex is presenting things to the world, social media, in person, whatever, to other people, they're presenting it as this happy, joyful sun. The sun is a happy, joyful card. It's playful. It's childlike. There's wonder and awe. And in this particular sun card, how interesting that we have 2 horses and 2 kids and 2 sunflowers and 2 birds. It's not just one like it is normally. So they're like, look, we are both very happy. Not only am I happy in my relationship, my partner's happy too. See? And it's this matchy, like, look how happy we are together. We're doing things together. We have the same hobbies. We have the same interests. Like, it's this, we're in love. See? And it's making me want to laugh because it's just very ridiculous. I already know that there's no way that's the case. I'm even starting to glance at some of these cards and I'm like, girl, stop. And I'm not saying that your ex is a girl. That was not a gendered term, but come on, it's like, who are you trying to fool? They're trying to fool themselves. They're trying to fool themselves, but also they are trying to fool the world and the people in their life. Maybe they're trying to fool you, even if they think that you're looking at their social media or something, because they really want to be perceived a certain way. This person is performing love. They are performing partnership. They are performing friendship. They are performing on levels that you would not even know. And I don't even think they know it. It is crazy to me. And I imagine it was crazy making for you to be involved with this person. I really don't want to make this a really long reading, but it's just lots of energies coming forward here. When we look at what happens as the honeymoon energy between your ex and their new person fades, or what did happen as the honeymoon energy faded, we have the Chariot. But here we have one figure and we have a little devil on this figure's shoulder and moving very quickly in the Chariot. Usually the Chariot moves pretty fast. So when the honeymoon energy fades, or when it did fade, guess what? Your ex is like, okay, I'm searching now for like new supply, or I'm moving on to other things because, it's like, here we have 2 white horses and 2 people, 1 on each horse. It's like, there's a lot more equal energy here. I know this is how they're presenting it to be, but this might've been like the honeymoon phase as well. And now it's like, okay, I'm tired of pretending that I'm into white horses. I like black horses. And also like the devil is speaking to me now, and I don't have the energy to continue to like pretend that everything's fine and I believe all the same things you do. Like, your ex may be an expert in mirroring people, whether they mean to or not. So they may have done this to you. They may be doing it to the new person and to others as well. They may do it in friendships as well. This is a person who's like, oh, me too. Oh, you like that? Me too. Oh, what's your favorite ice cream? Vanilla? Mine's vanilla. It's like they ask you these things so they can find out what you like. And then, oh, that's crazy. They like so many of the same things you do, or they start sort of talking like you do, or they start wearing things like you do. And I know that like sometimes when you spend a lot of time with someone, you do start picking up on like some of the phrases they say or things like that. But it's like this person does it faster, and they do it to a degree that like it's like mimicking someone's body language to make them comfortable. And so basically, as the honeymoon energy faded or is fading, your ex is not able to keep up the charade. They are like, I want to do this now. And like, if they are an addict, which they might be, they may have been getting sort of like high off of this new relationship energy, but then they're like, oh, it's not lasting. Like I need whatever my drugs are or whatever my addiction is, I need that. And again, because it's like this devil is on their shoulder, it's like they're no longer able to fake it. They're being controlled by the devil, which could be an addiction, could be their patterns of behavior, but they're moving very quickly toward things that are less healthy for them, but also toward things that are more like self-focused. So they may be acting in very selfish ways as that honeymoon phase ends. And this might be a daydreamer. Your ex might be kind of daydreamy. They get sort of lost in fantasy or illusion. They may be very easily lost in illusion, or they're good at creating an illusion. But they also might be very sort of like overly romantic in the sense that, again, they think that love is going to save them. And so they get sort of lost in these, like limerence when, I don't want to like explain it all to you right now, but if you look up limerence, this person, your ex, is probably very, very prone to that. And a lot of people are prone to that. I think everybody has the ability to be limerent about someone or something, but I think your ex, more than most, has that quality. And so as the honeymoon period fades with their person, they start getting limerent or daydreamy about other people, other possibilities, and other things. And even if they are like not a cheater, and maybe they are quote unquote loyal to their partner, I don't think this person is loyal, but you know what I mean? If they're loyal in that sense, then they may be just on to like they're spending more time with other friends, or instead of like spending as much time with this person, they're doing their own thing more, and it does feel kind of selfish, or they may be moving more toward, substances or addictions and things like that. So then let's look at, we've got death and justice here for what issues or conflicts or fights are arising or surfacing in the relationship between your ex and this new person. So one thing with the justice card, justice can be the truth card and seeing things clearly, but also there's a lot of equality energy here and Libra energy, which cares about reciprocity. So one of the issues or the conflicts or the fights that are surfacing in the relationship between your ex and their new person is this feeling of, are things actually being equal? Are we both putting in the same amount of effort? Are we both putting in the same amount of energy and time and care? And this can show up in a lot of ways. So it's like, okay, does your ex always expect the new person to drive to their house? Or your ex always expects the new person to cook dinner or pick up food or provide emotional support, and your ex's new person is starting to realize that it's not equal. They're starting to see that more and more clearly. And so that's bringing up some conflict, because it's like, hey, wait a second, this isn't equal, this isn't reciprocal, and I'm starting to see it clearly and I don't like it. And it makes me think that your ex is sort of this justice person standing here like, what? No, it's equal. Remember when I did that thing for you and that thing for you and that thing for you? I gave you that the other day. I bought this the other day. And so that also might confuse the new person a little bit, because they're like, well, they did do these things, but why am I feeling like things aren't equal? Why does it seem like I'm always giving more? So that's starting to happen here or has been happening. And then we also have this death card. And again, it's making me think, especially because it's paired with this justice card, that there is this feeling of like giving to someone who's not going to give back. Death takes, right? And this little kid is offering this pumpkin to death. It's like, there's nothing here. Death doesn't have anything to offer. Like under death's cloaks is just bones, and it's like, sure, I'll pay a little bit of attention to you. I'll watch you as I walk by and yeah, I'll take that pumpkin, but like, I'm going to take from you. I'm not going to give to you. So again, it's this energy of not having equal give and take where the new person is giving and trying to be maybe approved of and loved. And there's a realization that your ex is not a giver, they're a taker. And what they give is not real. And it makes me think like, because I'm noticing this woman in the background, crying over this grave. This feels like you or another past person. Like basically they leave people in their wake that they took from. And then the people that they left, that they took from, now have to mourn and grieve the relationship and who they thought your ex was. So you may have gone through quite the grieving process, and you may have had to spend a lot of time processing what you went through with this person and what was real and what wasn't, and realizing like you may have given a lot in ways that they never gave back. And, it's like they have this graveyard of people they just kind of dump because they're on to the next thing. It's like what it makes me think is like, you or other people in their life that they were close to or that they were involved with, they sort of drained. You may have felt very exhausted around this person eventually or very emotionally drained, but they drained you and they just left. They were like, oh, you're not giving to me anymore, because they drained every resource that you possibly had. It's like a vampire drained you of blood. And then they're like, you don't have any more blood? That's rude. This person has blood that they're offering me, so bye. It's that energy of like you became useless to them after they drained you, and they don't see or understand how they are negatively impacting people. They blame everybody else for their stuff. And then they just move on to the next thing. Like this kid, is innocent and young and doesn't realize what death is or who death is or what death does. And so it's not that they started dating a child, but that like when they get involved with someone, there's an innocence there at the beginning, like with you, with anyone that they've been with, because you hope for the best, or you saw the best in them, or you tend to see the best in people, and you didn't realize what you were getting involved with. And so they move on to the next innocent person once they've corrupted the relationship that they have had with someone else. It's really sad for the people they leave behind. It's really sad for you. And, we could say it's sad for them, but like, I kind of don't feel bad for them because they're hurting people. And it's honestly pretty messed up. Let's look at what the new person is starting to see and realize. And we have this Ace of Cups and the Fool. And so we've got a lot of beginning energy here, right? With an ace and with the Fool, at the start of a cycle, the start of a new relationship, the start of something with a lot of promise. So this says to me that what the new person is starting to see and realize about your ex and about the relationship is there were false promises in the beginning, that this started out as something with all this promise and all this hope, and it was supposed to be something magical and wonderful. And they realized that they may have basically walked off this cliff without looking. The Fool is meant to take a calculated risk. The Fool has what they need. And yes, they are taking a big risk, but they are taking a calculated risk. And I think this new person realized they didn't calculate. They took a risk based on the promises, based on the excitement and the innocence and the hope. And they're starting to realize this isn't what they thought it was going to be. We see this Ace of Cups, and while, every card in this deck is really beautiful, this Ace of Cups is a little bit dark. I mean, sometimes it has a really positive feeling for me, but what it feels like here is false hope. And it feels like, we have this hand with these really sharp fingernails, and we have this murkiness and this darkness. And while I like crows and ravens and those kinds of birds, sometimes it can feel like sort of an omen and there's something beneath the water. It's not all hearts and flowers and rainbows. And, this cup is overflowing, and yet it's not overflowing in this happy, magical fountain kind of way that you normally see. It feels sort of like sad. It feels like tears. You know what I mean? And so what this new person is starting to see and realize is this isn't what they thought it was going to be. There's a darkness here. There's a fog being created. There's confusion. They can't see things clearly. They know there are things beneath the surface. They can't quite figure it out. And I think that there's a lot of sadness coming forward for the new person. And it feels very emotional, especially because they're also not receiving in kind. And it feels like this bird here is coming to just dip their coin in the water, but not like drop the coin and leave it. So again, this makes me feel like the new person is like, here, and your ex is like, thanks. And then just like off to the next thing, like not actually giving anything, but just continuing to take. And so I think that the new person does feel a bit like a fool, and they realized they walked into something without understanding really what it was. And they're starting to feel really confused and unsure, but there's this interesting, but also sad dynamic of sort of understanding what's going on and feeling it, but also still having a lot of hope and optimism and not being sure of what's happening. Your reading is definitely going to be longer than group one. So, over here on the right, we have the Knight of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles, and we pulled these for what's not as it seemed in the beginning. So in the beginning, okay, I'm going to start with the Knight of Swords. So in the beginning, I have a feeling that your ex was very communicative and seemed direct about what they wanted and about their thoughts and feelings and things like that. And they maybe came across as very intelligent, but also there is this impulsive energy with the Knight of Swords. And so things may have moved really quick, but now there's this sort of like understanding that the energy from the beginning meant something else. But I think that your ex maybe texted a lot or called a lot or whatever mode of communication they have with this new person, they were constantly reaching out. They may have been the first one to reach out. They were asking lots of questions. They were being very curious, or at least it seemed that way. They wanted to know everything about the new person. And it was like, wow, like someone is so interested in me. And also, in the beginning, it felt like we're working together. We're creating something beautiful. We're making dreams come true and learning and having fun and like experiencing things together. And maybe they went on exciting dates, or they had hobbies in common, or they literally made things together. And so there was a lot of this energy in the beginning of like, your ex being so interested in them and them making something and building something beautiful together. And this is coming through because this is no longer as it seemed in the beginning. So if your ex was very quote unquote curious, asking lots of questions, very interested, wanting lots of information about the new person and being like super intrigued, that has now fallen off. And this working together and building something has also fallen off. So what's not as it seemed in the beginning between them? It's this cooperative energy where your ex was very interested in the new person and claimed to maybe have the same hobbies and all of these things. This is now starting to fade because I think there's a comfort happening after the honeymoon phase fades. And your ex is not capable of keeping up the same level of performance because their interest in another person is somewhat shallow, somewhat performative, and certainly short lasting, with the Knight of Swords here rushing in, getting all the information, making a splash, and then rushing out as soon as they came in. So, and also like with the Pentacles, acting like they were kind of a grounded, mature person who had all this knowledge and all of these interests and things. And the new person is starting to realize your ex isn't all those things that they led them to believe. So let's look at the bottom row here. And on the left, we have the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands is for what this new person is struggling with in this connection. So we've seen some of that already, but the Seven of Wands, a huge thing that the new person is struggling with in this connection with your ex is boundaries. That is huge. So I don't know if you struggled with boundaries with your ex. I would suspect that that was a problem. Maybe you would set a boundary. Maybe you're not even a big boundary person, but you had like one specific boundary and this person just continued to walk over it and get upset when you set a limit or had a need or something like that. And so the new person, whether or not that was the case for you, the new person is certainly struggling with that. And also there's this feeling of, sort of like, I was trying to see if the Hermit is here. But there's this Hermit feeling coming through in the Seven of Wands where it feels like the new person needs some of their own time or some of their own interests or time with their own friends or something. And your ex is not allowing them to have it, or they're getting punished for it when they try. So that is certainly a struggle for the new person. Let's look over here at how the new person feels underneath it all. And then we have the Five of Wands and the Five of Cups. Oof. All right, the new person. And again, this is once the honeymoon period fades. If they're still in it, they may not be at this point yet, but they certainly will be. So how does the new person feel about this relationship and about your ex underneath it all? Man, Five of Wands and Five of Cups, not good. I'm going to tell you that right now. I mean, this is a pretty cute Five of Wands card. It kind of looks like cooperation, but typically the Five of Wands is, well, it can be a lot of things, but it can be conflict and disagreements and fighting and stuff like that. So I think it's twofold with this Five of Wands. On the one hand, underneath it all, the new person is trying to make it work with your ex, trying to be cooperative, trying to see their perspective, trying to give to them, trying to make things equal, trying to just kind of see things in a positive light and make things work. I also feel that, there is some community aspect to your ex and their new person's relationship. So if that's the case, if they have friends in common or a group in common, or they work together somewhere where there are other people in common, the new person could really be trying to keep things positive in order to sort of like appease the community as well, or because the community sees your ex as really wonderful. Maybe there are people who don't see the truth about them, like we kind of talked about in the beginning. And so this kind of impacts how the new person feels. But also the other part of this is that underneath it all, they are tired of the conflict, the fights, the things that are going wrong. I don't know if they're fighting a lot. They could be fighting a lot. There could be conflict. There could be just kind of this level of chaos and tension and turmoil under the surface that is starting to affect them. And it brings us to the Five of Cups. And so, this can be a card of grief and sadness and loneliness. And it feels like the new person is starting to, we have different colors coming out of each of these cups. It's like, I think that the new person's starting to feel different things. They're starting to feel lonely. They're starting to feel sad. They're feeling grief. They're feeling anger. They're feeling doubt. There's confusion. There's a lot of different things happening for this person as they experience this relationship and the destitute feeling that it gives them. We have this house back here, and it's like, there's home, there's the stable foundation, here's the comfort. And the new person is like stuck, unable to get there. And there's a bridge here, but it's like, it feels like they're stuck in place and they don't know what to do. And they want to be there and they keep looking at that, but that's not what's happening. And these two cups are back here behind them, like unavailable to them. It's like this Two of Cups feeling of like being on the same page and being emotionally understood and like having an equal relationship. They're having to turn their back on that, which leads me to the 5 in both of these cards. 5 can be a number of change. So underneath it all, the new person might be starting to think about leaving this relationship. They may be thinking like, I don't know if I can do this. This feels chaotic. It feels like too much. I don't think I'm getting my needs met, and I might have to leave. And that's bringing up a lot to the surface for them too. But I will say that no matter what, these feelings aren't good. Like, man, your ex has some, I think, deep-seated issues that need to be worked out. And even if they have good qualities, I think that they hurt you. I think that they're hurting the person that they are involved with right now. I think that they have hurt other people, and that is going to continue to happen unless they do some major work. But speaking of your ex, let's look at what your ex is feeling in this connection as the excitement fades or as their feelings shift. And they're not very happy either. So we have the 10 of Swords and the 4 of Cups. I'm going to say there's no way you're going to be happy with 10 swords in your chest bleeding out by yourself. And also look how unhappy this person looks, even though someone is offering what they claim they want. They want romance. They want love. But the thing is, with your ex, they can't absorb love. They don't understand it. They can't feel it because there is a lack within them. There's an inability for them to feel love toward themselves or to understand and feel what love really is. Like, there's a closed offness in this person, in your ex, where they are not actually able to receive enough love to feel like it's enough. I hope I'm explaining this well, but there's something sort of like broken within them that they can certainly fix, or that can be fixed. But right now it's not working as it should. It's not working properly. And so they are not capable of having at least not a healthy romantic relationship. But I would suspect that they don't really have any healthy relationships because they don't have a healthy relationship to themselves. And I think that there is a strong feeling for me, again, that they're sort of like fooling people, but they're also sort of fooling themselves. And if you have never experienced a certain emotion, let's say you've never felt grief, okay? You're not really going to fully understand it until you feel it. But the reason that most of us understand different emotions is because we've felt them, either with small things or big things. We have felt them, and so we know what they are. And, you know, some people are just more empathetic than other people and can maybe like feel more even if they haven't had that exact experience. But your person cannot feel love. Not in the way that you do. They may feel a limited amount, but there's something here with that they are incapable of. And so they seek out relationships, and this may be a person that like monkey branches to the next person, to the next person, to the next person, doesn't actually take breaks between relationships, always has to have someone or multiple people that they rely on. And that's because they are on the search. And, you know, you could say that we're all on the search for something, you know, we all want to feel peace and joy and love and all of those things in life. And sometimes we might feel cut off from them. But this person is like frantically trying to find these things, and it never works because of course not. You can't find everything that you're looking for in another person. Yes, we all know people add so much to our lives. They add richness and vibrancy and light and joy. I mean, the people we enjoy at least, but your ex is looking for everything in another person. They're looking for, like, if they have a romantic relationship, it will fulfill all their needs. They will finally be happy. They'll finally be at peace. They'll finally accept themselves. Everything will be fine. And what they are realizing is it didn't work. It didn't work again. Does that have them turning into the mirror and looking at themselves and trying to sort stuff out or pursuing healing? No. What they are doing is blaming the new person. They also have blamed you. They've blamed everybody. They still might be blaming you for all I know. But, you know, this person, your ex, is dissatisfied with their relationship. They're dissatisfied with life. Nothing anyone gives them is going to be enough. And it is not the fault of the other person. And it's not even your ex's fault either. They have their stuff. But, it really sucks because basically, you know, they are taking a person, making them think that they are important and special, and then being like, ugh, you didn't fulfill your promise of being important and special and changing everything about my life. So now I don't like you. It's like they're repeating this pattern, sword after sword after sword after sword. And, this 10 of Swords really speaks to me about your ex feeling like a perpetual victim. They're a victim in this relationship. They were a victim in yours. They are a victim of life. And it's like, look, it looks like she put the sword in her own chest. This, oftentimes the 10 of Swords is betrayal. Other people have betrayed you. A group of people have betrayed you, all that stuff. This person is like hurting themselves. Your ex is like, oh, let me just stab another sword in. There's a dramatic feeling to this. It's just living life as a victim and feeling like no one loves me. I'm perfect, but no one loves me. And so, it's like they also feel like, their pain and their suffering feeds something beautiful. Like this blood is growing this flower. So it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Like their energy is tiring me out. I can't imagine how you felt dealing with them in a real way. But also, this looks like it might be a poppy. And this has come up in a couple of the other readings I've done here on YouTube. But it makes me think about opioids or opiates and like, again, coming back to the fact that some of you are dealing with an addict, whether you know it or not. This person has addict tendencies. I don't know if they're addicted to substances or just relationships or their own pain. But this person is certainly acting like an addict. And this isn't to say that addicts are bad or deserve anything bad or anything like that. Okay. We all struggle with things in life, but this person has an active addiction or dependency or something that is unhealthy. And not only is it unhealthy for them, but it is impacting all these other people that go through their life. And honestly, it like disgusts me a little bit because it feels like they just hurt people on these deep levels. And then they're like, wah, like I'm poor baby me. Like I got hurt again. It's like always, always, always about them. And it, not only is it exhausting, but it's like infuriating when people like this exist in your life because you can't help them. No one can help them. They have to help themselves. They're continuing to hurt themselves and then blaming you. And it's messed up because they're hurting you too. And they're hurting this new person. And they're hurting whoever else. I'm going to like get off my rant there, but like, I don't like them very much, if you can tell. So finally, we have these last 3 cards, and this is about what your ex thinks about you when you enter their thoughts. So we have the 9 of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, and the 9 of Cups. Well, well. They definitely still think about you. I don't know, again, how long ago this relationship was for you, but they certainly see you as beautiful or attractive, whatever your gender is. And I think that they felt very safe with you in a lot of ways. You're coming through as the Queen of Pentacles, very grounded and safe. And you could be an earth sign or have earth in your chart, but you made them feel like safe, and also they were very attracted to you. And there's also this innocence here, but also a maturity and just, like I said, a groundedness. There's like, I'm smelling like the earth and like summertime and like green things growing. And it feels like peace and relaxation. But also I noticed like she has these sharp nails and seems powerful. And so they also see you as someone with like a sharp bite, or you may have been very warm and then you would turn cold is how they felt. Maybe at the end, they also see you as someone who stands or sits in your power and does not deal with bullshit. They may see you as someone who is unwilling to change. And while it seems like you have this very reliable, dependable, trustworthy, loyal, honest energy, they may not like that you were not always easily swayed, or that you would sort of say, okay, that doesn't sound true, and they were like, what? you're supposed to believe my dishonesty like I do. And you were like, well, that's not true. I have proof. And they're like, well, oh, okay, this part isn't, but that's only because of this. So there's something there with when they think of you, they're still thinking about that stuff. They also saw you in a lot of ways as emotional fulfillment and feeling like their cups were more full when they had you in their life. They also felt like you were very kind of magical, spiritual, intuitive. And I think that you ignited a lot of curiosity in them because you were unique. And I think that you do have like a special place in their thoughts, whether or not they treated you well. They also see you as being sort of like emotionally fulfilled and not needing anyone else, not needing someone to fulfill or fill up your cups. And so that's sort of threatening to them. But I think that they also see you as sort of powerful in that way, and they wish they could be more like you. With this 9 of Swords, when you come into their thoughts, I would say it's at night more than it is at day. The 9 of Swords can often be about insomnia, sleepless nights, not being able to fall asleep, kind of having your thoughts running wild. And, we have this like monster back here in this hornet's nest, and like, this isn't very good, a very good structure to feeling safe. And like, who wants to sleep in a hammock versus like outside in the open air? So basically what this is saying to me is that your ex definitely thinks of you at night a lot, I would say. I think it affects their sleep. I think that they get anxious. I think that they get kind of tense and irritable, and maybe they get up and like try to move around, and then they get back in bed and it's still there. They're thinking about some of the things they did wrong, but I think they're still trying to blame you, which is creating more aggravation energy in their body. And they're trying to fend off this idea that they did anything wrong, but they can't stop thinking of you and thinking of the things that make them anxious, because I think that you may have said really truthful things about this person, and it is weighing on them. But again, they're continuing to do their same bullshit, So I think that that's all I have for you today, group 2. I hope this was helpful to someone out there. If you enjoyed this reading, let me know by leaving a comment or liking the video. You may like some of my other readings that I've done. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you again soon. Bye. Hi, group 3. You chose the Bones and the Natural Abundance card. Welcome to your reading. We are looking at your ex and the relationship that they have with their new person after the honeymoon phase fades. I'm going to pull all of your cards off camera to save you having to watch me do that. So the next thing you will see is everything all laid out. Okay, group 3, let's get into it. We're going to start over here with the Natural Abundance card on the left, this card that you chose at the beginning. So this is going to be indicative of the energy or the vibe between your ex and their new person. So, there's a lot here. I think that your ex pretends to be romantic, maybe says the right stuff, but the actions don't align. There's a kind of tricky energy here where they say things to sort of get someone involved with them and think they're really into them and stuff. But this is a bit of a user, in my opinion. And there is energy here, certainly, that your ex and the new person could be having a kid together, or that the new person or your ex is pregnant, or they are trying to get pregnant. So that isn't going to be it for everybody, but there are certainly some stuff here about that. Your ex definitely pretends to be someone that they are not. And there's also, if you look at this, okay, we have this man with these arms up here and these arms here, and then these arms coming around the front. So what that is saying to me is there's several people here. So in one sense, there are multiple people. So this could be that your ex is involved with multiple people, or while they're involved with the new person, they have kind of like side people. In another sense, so they could be cheating. But in another sense, Okay, well, here's another part of that is it looks like some people are hidden. So definitely if they are involved with multiple people, the new person doesn't seem to be fully aware of the involvement or the extent of it. So there definitely seems to be this kind of like icky, like hiding people behind their back energy. And also parts of themselves. So if your ex was someone where you were like, I thought they were one person, they turned out to be an entirely other, or like day to day, they were a different person and they seemed like they were so many different people, you never knew who they were, or, that kind of thing, or they're really angry one day and really sweet the next. There's this energy with your ex of being a lot of different people and not being sort of a whole consistent person. There's a lot of inconsistency here. And so this is coming through as being very much present in their relationship with the new person, which is unfortunate. There's also a lot of controlling and manipulative energy here and kind of like wanting pleasure and wanting to be pleased in a very selfish way. It's gross energy, honestly. And I'm sorry to say this about someone that you were with, but I'm sure you're aware of it and you find them gross now at this time. But I think that this person may be using sex to control people, or they're controlling people in order to get that. There's a lot of sexual energy here. I don't think I need to point out why that's the case. You can look at this card and figure it out for yourself. But I definitely feel like your ex is sort of out for themselves. Sometimes has like one goal and they just kind of like want to sort of use people in a way, or they just are very like single-minded at times. Your ex could have a chest tattoo or a very prominent tattoo, just like one or two that really stand out, or tattoos in general, but that doesn't have to be the case. Or their tattoos, if they have them, you can only see without their clothes on. So that might be confirmation for someone. But basically what it comes down to is your ex is all about themselves, and their relationship or whatever they have with the new person is still all about your ex. So that's pretty unfortunate for the new person. But let's get into it a little bit further. So when we look at how their relationship looks to the outside world, or what they're presenting their relationship as, we have this redemption card, which is also the judgment card. So it's interesting because they're not necessarily, your ex isn't necessarily depicting their relationship with the new person as like happily ever after, romantic, sweet partnership. They may not even really be displaying the person they're dating to the world, especially if there is like cheating energy. But they are presenting themselves as like, instead of being the ugly duckling that they are, because man, sorry, but this person has some ugly energy going on for sure. They're presenting themselves as the beautiful swan, this like perfect, amazing, majestic creature. And so it's again making me think that your person has a way of trying to just draw more and more people in and presenting themselves as incredible. But I think that whoever they're involved with, sure, maybe they have like pictures online and things like that, but they really don't want to draw too much attention to their relationship, I feel like, at least in certain areas. Like they might in some areas where they get more attention for having like a healthy relationship. And then in other areas of their life, they may not even mention the person that they're with, even if they are having a kid together or getting married or something like that. Because again, everything is all about them, and they're trying to call to themselves attention and validation and people to, validate that they are this amazing swan that they think they are. But there are things lurking under the surface. And I think that might be obvious to anyone who takes a close enough look, because I think that if your ex was really good at sort of fooling people over time, they're starting to be less and less good at it. I don't know why, but that is the sense that I'm getting. And it may be partly, because you're here and your energy is here that you just see through the bullshit now. But I kind of feel like for a lot of you, a lot of people are starting to see through the BS and don't see your ex as like this upstanding, wonderful person, but they're presenting themselves as they are, as if they are. But, you know, we have the number 20 here, which reduces down to 2 in numerology. So, you know, that can be a number of partnership. And so it is possible that for some of you, they are displaying their partnership online or wherever else and trying to make it look good when it is not, because that's the energy I'm getting. And we'll, of course, get into all these other cards, but yeah, like I just feel like an ickiness overall. Yeah, it just feels like gross energy with this person. I think you probably see them as gross at this point, and I don't blame you. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with you for choosing someone that you now see as gross, because love is blind, man. We've all done it. So, okay. So that takes us over here to the Prince of Swords, which is our card for what happens or happened as the honeymoon energy fades or did fade in the relationship. So, Prince of Swords, okay? When we think about the Knight of Swords, who just showed up in the last reading, sometimes wonderful card, okay? No card is always bad or good, but sometimes the Knight of Swords is this impulsive, flighty, in and out energy. And as the honeymoon energy fades, guess what? Your ex is like, okay, take me out of here. I'm on to the next, you know, like it's very like they may stick around sort of to get some of their needs met, but they're now directing their attention and their energy toward other things. And there's also this feeling of like, even though these birds are carrying this girl in this net, there's a feeling of being sort of trapped and caught and like being at the whim of other people. And so as the honeymoon energy fades in this relationship, your ex starts to feel kind of trapped, because it's like, oh, things aren't like exciting right now. Like, oh no, I'm getting trapped into like commitment, even if there is zero commitment, because I feel like your ex probably is not very good at that. Or if they are, they don't take it seriously in the way that a healthy person takes commitment. It may be for show, but they feel sort of trapped, and they feel like they're being taken in a direction they don't want to go. And they're also very hot and cold and in and out. So this is, again, not a consistent individual, not someone who shows up for the person in their life. And so then let's look at issues or conflicts or fights that could be surfacing or arising in this relationship between your ex and their new person. We have the 7 of Cups. Again, I am getting this energy of your ex just having kind of like all these side pieces, like all these people on the side or all these secrets that are being kept. And the new person is like, hey, what's all that? And your ex is like, basically the dragon here that's like going to breathe fire at them if they get too close. It's like, I need to protect my secrets and you're not getting close. And so conflict and issue could be arising because the new person is like, hey, what's going on? It feels like you're keeping things from me. It feels like maybe there are people that you're keeping from me and you're not being very honest. And I want to see clearly and understand what's going on. And I'm getting energy here of like your ex being very shady with their phone, like kind of like always having their phone turned over so that you can't see if it's lighting up, kind of always having it in their pocket. If they leave the room, they literally always take it with them, or like they're very like, they have the screen turned away. There's like a shadiness happening. And so the issue and conflict that's coming forward is like the new person is like, I don't like this. And your ex is unwilling to be an honest and straightforward person. I would not be surprised if this group dealt with cheating in this relationship. You may or may not have, but I don't think this person is loyal in those ways, but they may pretend to because they want what they want from other people, you know? So I again, like, sorry, I keep saying that, but like, oh, I just like hate this person. I don't know why. No, I know why. I feel bad because I'm not being very, objective here. I just don't like them, and I'm glad that you're not with them anymore. That's all I can say about that. So let's look at the Eight of Wands. This is what is the new person starting to see and realize, other than this. I think one thing that the new person is starting to see and realize about your ex is like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Your ex like pretends to be good at certain things and they're not. That's what I'm getting. And the new person is like, hey, wait a second. Like you said you were good at this, but you're not. And it's also like, you said this, but that wasn't true. It's like there's more and more kind of deception that is surfacing. And your ex is like, I don't want to say it like that. I don't know. Your ex is sort of like coming across as like an idiot in certain ways. Okay. Like, I don't know how else to put it. And the new person is starting to see it and they're like kind of side-eyeing it. And, it's really unfortunate, man, if there is like a pregnancy going on. I hope not, because no one should have to deal with that, with this person. I mean, I don't know, maybe they are a good parent, but there's trickery here. There are things like not what they seem, and I think that the new person is starting to realize that more and more. And it's kind of like annoying more so than anything else, because it's like, it's also like there's such a slow, the Eight of Wands is normally so fast, but this Eight of Wands, it feels like the energy is slow while this person tries to like figure this out and like undo something. And it's like, when are you going to do the thing you said you were going to do? It's that kind of thing is coming forward. And the Eight of Wands can also be about communication, and it feels like there are disruptions in communication. Like they're not all facing one another. It feels like this person is kind of like in charge and these two aren't necessarily being listened to. So I think there are certainly issues in the communication between these two. And, I'm not saying the new person is like a perfect angel. Okay. I don't know. We're not really looking at what's right or wrong with the new person. So I just want to say that we're mostly focusing on their dynamics, and your ex. So let's finish up this top row and look at the wise old man, otherwise known as the Emperor. And we're looking at what's not as it seemed in the beginning. So in the beginning, we have this number 4. 4 can be a number of stability, structure, responsibility, groundedness, feeling like there are 4 solid legs on the bottom of a chair. Basically, there was this energy in the beginning of like, I'm a solid, stable person. Like, you're safe with me. I know how to do stuff. Like, I've figured a lot of things out. I'm mature. I'm a wonderful partner, all these things. But what's not as it seemed in the beginning? All these things that your ex claimed to be are not turning out to be true. So it's like, again, it's like, hey, wait a second. I think that's what keeps coming through for this new person, because they're realizing they've been fooled in certain ways. Or like, even if your ex didn't say all these things, they presented a certain persona, and the new person may have even put their own beliefs on it. Like, we're all prone to doing that because, again, before you really know who someone is, you have your ideas about them. Some of us are prone to seeing the best in other people, whether this relationship was more recent or older for you, you chose to see the best in them, which is such a wonderful quality. And yet, unfortunately, you got fooled, which sucks. And I'm sorry. But basically, what's not as it seems, everything this person pretended to be. And that's what the new person is starting to figure out. So what is the new person struggling with in this connection besides the things that we've already looked at? We have this Ace of Pentacles and the Princess of Pentacles. So the first thing that's coming up with these cards is illusions. So the new person is struggling with realizing that some of the things that they thought were happening in this relationship with your ex are turning out to be illusionary, not true, not solid, not based in reality, not trustworthy, not something to depend on. And that any sort of dreams that were made to sound good. Like if this person was being very romantic and they were like, we're going to be like this one day and I love you and all these things. There's this realization now for the new person that like the dreams are turning into nightmares a little bit. And so that is certainly a struggle. We have the princess and the pea here in this card. And it's like, no matter what the new person tries to do to make things comfortable or to find a way to be comfortable in this relationship, that pea is not going anywhere. And nothing the new person does gets rid of that feeling, that pit in their stomach of like, something's wrong, something's not right here. And it's, a deeply uncomfortable and anxious feeling. And it's just, for the new person, what they're struggling with is like their deep discomfort with what is happening. And also, with this Ace of Pentacles, the new person really thought that they were working on a common goal and they were making something happen and wishes were going to come true. And it's just, that's not really what's happening. It turns out they're working on different things. Like the new person thought they were working on the relationship together, but the sense that I get here is that your ex is working on other things behind the scenes and maybe working with other people to do things. And also there's this feeling of feeling so small, like these two little people with this giant shoe and this like giant thing of thread, spool of thread. It's just, the new person is starting to feel like very small. And also like, if they stay in this situation and in this relationship, they sort of have to meet your ex on their level and make themselves smaller to do so. And that is certainly a struggle for them. How does the new person feel underneath it all? We have the King of Cups and this 10 of Wands here. And then we're going to get into how your ex is feeling and what your ex thinks about you when you enter their mind, FYI. So the new person in this relationship with your ex, how do they feel underneath it all? Well, it feels like they're having to do all the work themselves, all of the emotional labor with this King of Cups and all of the relationship labor with this 10 of Wands. This feels like your ex kind of like, you good in there doing all of the work? I'm just going to be doing whatever I want. Okay. So like, you make sure our relationship is good and like you do everything to keep it up. And like, I don't care how it affects you. I'm just like, hi, bye. I'm like going to go hang out with like my friends. And then they're really just doing shady shit behind the new person's back. That's the energy that I get. And, with this 10 of Wands, it's such a like burden, so much, work that they have to do on their own. And like, it just feels like all the emotional labor, all of the feelings of like keeping it together and being mature and being the adult is falling on the new person. And so how they feel underneath it all is they feel exhausted and tired and like everything falls on them. And they're starting to question this reality and whether or not it's for them. But I think for some of you, this new person is sort of trapped in this or feeling trapped. And so even though they feel like this, and sometimes they're okay with it and sometimes they're not, they may not feel like they can leave at this time. And it feels very heavy. It feels very exhausting. And I honestly don't like it. But let's look at what your ex is feeling in this connection with this new person as the initial excitement fades and as their feelings shift toward the new person. We have temptation, otherwise known as the devil. So there's a couple things here. It is possible that the person, your ex, is dealing with addiction, substance abuse, something of that nature. Whether or not that's the case, there is also energy here about control. Even though your ex feels like the controlling one, I think that they feel controlled. They feel controlled by this relationship, whether or not they are the one wanting to keep the new person around. They're starting to feel like by having this new person in their life, they are being controlled. By having anyone in their life, they feel controlled by it. And so also the temptation draws them. Again, I think that they are very easily tempted by other people and other connections, and they're always kind of like on their way out, and they get sort of like exhausted by the work that they are required to put into a relationship, and their hand is on the door, like ready to open it and go seek out something else, and also try to do it in this really hidden way. So how is your ex feeling? Not great. Like, they honestly don't look very well. They look kind of sickly. And I think that a lot of people here, your ex is dealing with some kind of substance abuse here, or they are sort of using people behind the scenes. And I think that there's a strong emotional immaturity with your ex, and not only are they emotionally immature, but they've got this sort of like teenager feeling to them, like like an evil teenager. That's how they're kind of coming across. Their energy is coming across as if they were an evil teenager. That's all I can say about that, really. We have these bones as what you chose as well. And I've had them crossed, and we see these crossed swords as well, which is making me think about that. And what is coming to mind for me with that is that this person closes off themselves from true connection, from healing, from being a better person. They close themselves off from looking at themselves clearly, from learning anything and healing anything. And that's, again, that can tie into, if they are using substances to distract themselves from facing anything real within themselves, because everyone has the potential to get better, or I think they do at least. But also, there's this Two of Swords energy coming through of sort of being constantly indecisive and not sure what to do. And that's coming through as like, they're not sure who to choose or like what to put their attention on. They're always kind of focused on maybe their new person and someone else. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't someone who is loyal to a person. And then let's finish off with what your ex thinks about you when you enter their thoughts, whether that is a lot or a little. And how funny that after all this negativity, we have these really positive cards at the end: the happily ever after, or the world card, and the 10 of cups. Just joyous cards. So, okay, first of all, like, of course, they have you held as like this wonderful image in their head, which we will get into that, but it's like, they don't appreciate someone when they have them, which kind of pisses me off. And it's like, oh, now that you're gone, suddenly they see you as fulfillment and happily ever after and the one and like end game and all of these things. Cool. Like, I'm so glad that they think that now instead of actually being a good partner to you when they had the chance. Okay. So I'm just going to say that. But with that said, they do have very positive thoughts about you. I'm going to say it. Like, the 10 of Cups and happily ever after, they're like the same thing, basically. So they see you as emotionally fulfilling. They may see you as being like really good socially, and you were like a really fun person to be with in a group, and you made them look really good by being associated with them. They see you as like this dream, this thing that could be something magical and special and beautiful. They see you as all of those qualities. They see you as being able to go really deep and go emotionally deep and have complexity. And they see you as also being really grounding and reliable. I think they see you as being very honest and upfront with your feelings and your true feelings, and being very aware of how you feel. And I think that, there's a lot of energy of 3. So we have the 21 here, which reduces to 3 in numerology. And then we have, this almost looks like the 3 of Cups with these 3 figures. So I wonder if they, this is coming through as a few different things. So 3 can be a number of communication. So they could see you as having like really fun communication. Maybe you were really flirty with one another, or really funny with each other, or sweet or playful or deep or serious. Like something about the way that you communicated with one another seems to be something that they still sometimes think about, or they miss communicating with you and they wish that you still would communicate with them. Maybe you blocked them or whatever. I mean, I hope that you did. But also, there's this energy of 3 where like they may have seen you as like one of the 3 most important people that they had a relationship with, one of their more serious relationships, or someone that there was potential with. Maybe they have like a kid and they saw you 3 being like a family unit or something. There's something here around the energy of 3. And overall, they see you in a positive light. I don't even think that they hold a lot of negative feelings towards you. I think their negativity is actually, I think they turn it toward themselves. And that's part of the reason that I'm seeing like substance abuse. But overall, I'm glad that you escaped this person. And that's, I don't care if I'm coming across as opinionated. That's how I honestly feel based on this energy that I'm reading, and you deserve better. So that's all I have for you today, group 3. I hope this was helpful. If you enjoyed this reading, let me know by leaving a comment or liking the video. You may like some of my other readings I've done. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you again soon. Bye.